Hey, Coach.
Thanks.
Is this team, each game seems like they're able to take it up another notch defensively. What did you guys learn 2 weeks ago against this Michigan State team that's going to help them on Saturday in East Lansing?
I think the biggest thing, facing them for the first time, which this group did, is understanding their speed and how fast they get the basketball out. It's really hard to practice. So I do think they were able much better to get back and get set in the second half against them. They're even faster at home, so I think that's going to be our biggest challenge for Saturday.
And for reinforcement of something like that, is it easier when you're playing a team just 2 weeks later because it's so burning in their memory?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think just playing them in general before really helps, but obviously just being last week or 2 weeks ago definitely. I think it's a little bit more fresh in their minds, definitely.
I know it's a short period of time since that last game, but it seems like maybe a lot has changed on your guys' end, especially the way the last game went and the time between then and now. How different do you think your team is, going into this game than they were the last time you played Michigan State a week or two ago?
Really not that much different. I think, I knew growing pains were going to happen the first time we saw certain teams, Purdue being one of them, Michigan State being one of them, Iowa being one of them. There's certain teams in this league that are just, I think if you don't have experience playing against them, it's very hard to explain to kids that haven't gone through it. So we were 8th in the country defensively. Now we're 6th. So I guess we're a little bit better. I'm not sure.
How do you feel just overall, just about the progress? I mean, obviously the team can always improve, but how do you feel about where this team is right now? Are you pleased with the progress that's been made?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said it all year. I think Deshaun and Jamie and John, I think these young guys I'm more excited about the future than I was 6 months ago when they first got on campus. I think they're making great strides. And again, I think all the new guys are kind of understanding what we do defensively. Offensively, I don't think we're ever going to be a juggernaut just because of some of the pieces that we lost early and, being a little bit young at some positions and being new to an offensive system. But I'm very pleased with the way these guys have worked. Their attitude's been great. So we still got 10 more games, to go. So it's 2 months left of the season.
Another question about Jameer, just the way he's played on the court, but also just the leadership he's had. And I know there's been a few points where he's said, stick with us, stay with us. And I think maybe you said it as well. But, having Jameer on this team, what does Jameer mean to this team? And where would you guys, be without Jameer? How
No, I mean, Jameer's been pivotal to help us kind of get to establish what we're trying to do in this program. He's been everything. He brings it every day in practice. He brings a great attitude every day in practice. He's been great helping us with recruits. Jameer's been awesome.
How have you seen Jameer and Mike Jones, knowing the connection they had from back in high school? Have you seen their chemistry develop at all, and what have you seen from that when you brought in Jones?
I haven't.
What you expected? You haven't been.
I haven't really paid attention. I don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. Sorry.
Fair enough. Referencing the defensive numbers, both Jameer and Juju just mentioned that defense is the identity of this team. I think you'd agree. How do you get players to buy in so much on the defensive end, even though it might not necessarily be as flashy as some of these other styles of play?
I think each team is uniquely different, and especially in today's age of college basketball, college football. I think your team's identity is going to change year to year dramatically. And I think with some of the pieces we added, we got much tougher than we did last year. We lost some shooting, we lost some skills at certain positions, but we added some toughness. And I think it just took this team a while to kind of figure out what's the one thing that they're going to be able to rely on game in, game out. And I think for the most part, I have a simple philosophy. If you play hard and you do what I want, I'll let you shoot any shot you want to do. So they kind of like that.
How have you seen Dante's play improve from the beginning of the season to where he is now, being a consistent shooter, and then on both sides of the floor?
I think for the most part, most of our struggles early were because of Dante. I can put it all on him. It wasn't my fault at all. It was really all Dante's. He had a major change to go from a power forward to a small forward. That was major. It doesn't seem like much, but everything that he was used to last year from a defensive standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, changed. And because of our injuries early on, to Cal, to Jordan, and obviously Chance, we were not able to really smoothly transition him and give him enough reps for him to be comfortable early in the season. And I think what you saw early in the season was a lot of confusion of what he was trying to figure out from moving from 4 years of a power forward, and even I think his sophomore year he played some center, to now moving into a strictly perimeter player. And that was a lot for a fifth-year guy to have to try to transition. And I think what you're seeing now is Dante's very comfortable. He's playing at a high level, and both offensively and defensively, and because he's much more comfortable in what he's doing, he's playing much better. So that's a long answer, as I screwed him up early in the year.
Coach, opposing teams against you guys are shooting nearly 8% worse from three in the second half than they are in the first half against you guys. What do you sort of take away from that stat?
I have a great halftime speeches. No, we watch film at halftime. So, and I've gotten used to utilizing the film in the huddles, which I think is great. It takes some time, and I'm still not all the way there yet with using it, but I'm a big believer. And we just go in, we just watch what teams are doing against us defensively, and we just try to make minor adjustments, nothing major. We always go into each game with 2 different game plans. Sometimes the first half works, like it did against Nebraska the other night, and sometimes it doesn't, and you have to make a change. And these guys have been very good at halftime of understanding what teams are trying to do, and they've been very good at the adjustments we've made at halftime. So a lot of, that's where, Deshaun and Jamie at the beginning of the year, if we tried to make an adjustment, you'd have 4 guys doing one thing, one guy doing what we were doing in the first half. That doesn't happen anymore. So now you see freshmen who really get it, who really understand it, who are actually helping us more defensively than they were earlier in the year.
Hey, Kevin. Matt Wyrick with the Baltimore Sun. As you've gotten into the meat of your conference schedule here, you really had a chance to see Julian go up against some Big Ten bigs. And the results in the paint have been largely impressive. How pleased have you been with his play under the rim down below and in the post as well, and how it's kind of developed since last season?
Yeah, I think I've said this now a year and a half. I think Julian's probably the best big man in the country for what we ask him to do and what he has to go against day in, day out. I mean, obviously, Zach, but you got to throw him out because, he's just one of a kind. So, he's special. But I think day in, day out, Julian has been phenomenal. Pick and roll defense, he's gotten much better. He's one of the only big guys that gets doubled consistently besides Zach in the league. So he has gotten doubled the last 5 games consistently, either on the bounce or on the touch. I watch every other game in this conference, and not too many of the big guys are getting doubled the way he is. He's handled that really well. I think the biggest place where Julian has matured is the fact that he's gotten a little bit older. So some of his struggles are not where last year some of his struggles would lead to him having an okay game. If he struggles early now, I don't get worried about him that having a lasting effect. He's matured. I think he understands that he's going to be out there for 37, 38 minutes, and he's played phenomenal.
Kevin, you talked a bit about Deshaun and Jamie's progress over the course of the year, and I think earlier you mentioned how it might be a bit hard for them to adjust just in terms of having older players and more experienced players with the COVID rules. From your perspective coming into the year, probably knowing that you would rely on them a decent amount. How did you kind of come in trying to manage them from a coaching perspective, and how has that kind of evolved throughout the year?
I mean, I would say just patience. I kind of said it and no one listened, but I kind of knew we were going to struggle early just because of, I knew we were going to have to rely on them a lot, and they are talented and they are good, and they are going to be really, really good. But this era in college basketball until really next year is over, it's unfair to every freshman coming in because they're just going up against guys that understand the game, are stronger, older, 24 years old against 18-year-olds. So my biggest thing with them is just I've been really, really patient and positive. You know, they've been playing great. They've had great spurts. They've struggled at times, but I think they're starting to go the other way on the fact that, you know, their struggles are very, very far few between now, especially on the defensive end. They've really picked it up. They've worked hard at it, and they've really helped us.
Back to Juju. It seems like the last couple games especially, you've seen one or two times where he's taking jump shots outside the paint, something we haven't really seen from him before this year all too often. Has that been something, you know, expanding his game farther out towards the perimeter, something that you've been working on with him?
Yeah, we've been working hard. It's a work in progress, but he's working at it. I think I would say we're halfway there. We've gotten it to be much smoother. His free throw is much better. But that's eventually something that, you know, he's going to have to do, not only for, you know, what I'd love to see him do it, absolutely, but for his future. But he also knows where his bread and butter is. So, you know, he enjoys being down low. He's one of those rare kids that understands he can expand his game, but he likes being down low. Thanks, everybody.